and welcome to this weird bonus episode where you've not seen us for the past year.
Yeah,
that's just gone. I'm just going to go over some things of what's changed and other bits.
Yeah, I feel like we've got quite a bit to cover.
A few updates,
Yeah.
Obviously not the happiest of news, but those who know, our co-host Ryan unfortunately passed away. Which, you know, we were in the middle of rebranding, which we'll talk to, but that's another reason why we were like, we're going to take a step back and obviously have a break from that, because it's not then, you know, it's horrible.
Yeah, I think we needed to take the time to
just digest the information.
Process it all, and then be able to then have this as like, right, here is the new look podcast to an Earful.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be nice for us to kind of like all say like a key thing you remember about Ryan and just your overall thoughts, and then we can kind of have that process on it. So just to make a start on that, it's so weird talking about past tense about Ryan. I'm not gonna lie,
it's not registering properly.
At this point, it's been about a month nearly.
Just around that,
and it still doesn't seem any like more processed than what it was at the start.
Yeah, when we first heard.
It's so weird. This. I remember like the first memory I have of Ryan is where he had Karma, and I was like, "Fuck, he's got incredible guests." Like, I need to know this man's power and knowledge. I need to be taught by him, and he was always like really infectious, like personality to him. Like whenever you spoke to him, even when it was like, "Hey, do you want to be a guest on Horror Fest?" And he didn't really know us, and he was kind of like, we came on and we tried shit for about like 3-4 hours.
It took us so long to
record. It was like
anything.
we were just having a catch up with an old friend.
Yeah,
like,
literally. Like he was always part of us, and that was that just straight away. Like there was no awkwardness. It was just straight in, like to gel in. Like,
and that was like at the worst part of like Horror Fest for us, because we'd done so many episodes by that point. We were just like
3-hour long episodes. So we was like
to the point where we were drained.
We were so unorganised on that first Horror Fest. If you go back and listen to it. We did all these within like 4 days, so it fucked us up by episode 4. Yeah.
Like the guests on that were like, it was Ryan, and then it was like Nikki from New Year's Day. I feel so sorry for them that they just came into this clusterfuck of a fucking special event for us, and they were like, "What is going on?"
Fair play to them both for like staying on board for that full 3 hours. But like when like Ryan jumped on, it was like. With his enthusiasm about the films and everything like that sort of probably just like helped us get it done.
Yeah, literally.
Do you know what I mean? Because we were teetering on the edge, and then he jumped in and he gave us that sort of like flair to like push ourselves.
It was always like the in-depth stuff as well, like the stuff that you never thought about like themings and stuff like that. He was like so on point with it. So when he was like, "Oh, do you want to release silver screen for us?" We were just like,
well, that was it. It was his suggestion. He approached us and was like, "I've got a podcast, but can I put it out on yours?" That is like such a nice thing that you know, he felt like, "Oh, this would be good over here." You know, Ryan's someone who's not only championed loads of bands but championed loads of podcasts, and I feel very fortunate that, you know, he wanted his podcast on ours, and we became very good friends because of that. And I always, during Horror Fest, I always thought like, "Oh, I hate this film. I can't wait to slate this film." And then Ryan would come in with like a most clear and concise like opinion on a film of why it's good, and then I'd go, "I should like this film." You know, my opinion's wrong. Yeah,
he'd constantly shift the change in your mind. Like if you did go into something like quite like, I'm adamant, like I'm not a fan of this. Like you'd be like, what did you see?
However,
this?
The Ritual is still a bad film.
We're sorry, Ryan.
It's one thing we can't change.
We always agreed on one thing, and that was Scream.
We did.
We had that common ground with Scream
through and through. Halloween too.
Yeah.
Halloween. But that was always a good fucking don't talk to me about Evil Dies Tonight.
Now's not the time, man.
That seemed to be like a big thing from Scream, and like obviously speaking to his sister Jade when we met up with him.
Just horror films in general.
But like Scream was like a big one for Ryan.
Of course.
So looking back on it now, I feel like it's such a good thing that we've got like a recording of us discussing like one of Ryan's favourite things. But like I was going to say, like one of the key memories I've got is when we first like actually met him in person, because obviously with it being over lockdown where we kind of got acquainted with him.
That was right, yeah.
We never actually met him in person up until where he'd arranged us to speak to Harry from Blood Youth.
That's right.
So we went to Chester, and then I remember like the massive beaming grin on his face as he was walking up from the distance,
miles away. The guy was just beaming. It was like, he's here now.
It was like this is long awaited. Yeah. It was worth the meetup.
I met him briefly at Slam Dunk before that.
Didn't you?
Yeah. And that was nice. Like as soon as we spot, I could just see him stood in the crowd, and he was stood next to where Katie was as well, and they were watching. I think it was Old in Absence who were on at the time. It might have been. I can't remember, if I'm honest with you. My memory's shite.
That's a
but
weird
as soon as I saw him, it was like,
like,
it was just cool, and yeah, it was just the same when we saw him again. Like,
yeah, I think that's the other thing. Ryan not only like put his podcast, on ours, and it became a bit of a network of podcasts, but Ryan also, champion guests. So I'm driving around with As Everything Unfolds. Do you want to talk to Charlie? He organised so many podcasts for us, and we're truly grateful for those.
It was just one of those though. Like so, we met him like online, like you know what I mean, and it just felt like when we saw him in person, we'd known him for so long.
Yeah,
but we were just constantly chatting, weren't we, about horror films and all sorts of stuff.
That was it. As soon as he came into our gravitation, it was it. Then we're just.
It was like it clicked.
You are one of us.
Yeah, we're in spin now. That's it. We're in full effect, and like you guys have literally said, like he did so much, like in terms of work. Not just for the podcast, but outside of that too, for music in general. Like he gave so much for that. He gave so much of himself to that, and you've seen it as we said. I saw quite recently a download with that DJ. For the life of me, I do forget her name.
Yeah,
but that was a wholesome moment, and if that doesn't speak volumes as to what Ryan was for the music industry and who he was as a person, then I don't know what else you can be told. Do you know what I mean? Like you're just a good old solid dude.
I think it speaks volumes of that. Obviously, we went to the service, but just the sheer amount of people that went there was just I could not believe it.
Yeah, it truly was. Like, and talk about a packed out sort of venue, like he did. Like that's just the influence that he was. That's who he was as a person. Like that's how many people he'd affected, touched, and it just as we've said. So it just spoke volumes. It was And
I think we should say, obviously our thoughts with his family and friends and stuff. But this is not the last you're going to hear Ryan. He's such a big part of this podcast that, going forward, I know every horror fest will be mentioning Ryan. Every horror film we watch will be mentioning Ryan because he was a big part of this podcast. And that's not going to change regardless.
Never at all. No.
Well, he already gave us some recommendations, didn't he, for the Horror Fest? So
there's a list of films from Ryan for Horror Fest, so they're definitely making that cut.
Absolutely.
Every time I watch Scream or Midsummer now, I'm just going to think of Ryan. He drilled Midsummer into us.
I think, he was. We were huge fans of that one. Yeah. Like, that'll never get old. No. That and Malignant as well. He came up. He was only sat down and went, guys. There's this new film out called Malignant, and we were all like, we'll give it a go. And then came out of it like, mate,
what the fuck is this?
Thank you for that recommendation. You've absolutely nailed it.
His reviews on Letterboxd will forever be my favourite thing because he goes so in depth on him.
And his honesty, he cut straight to the point. If he did not like what he saw, you'd know about it.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Some of them were just like, I watched 30 minutes of this and turned it off.
And the other one he was like, it's kind of shit, but I like it.
And if there's anything I'm going to take away from him, it's I'm definitely going to continue watching Speed for the rest of my fucking life.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
One of the best films. Truly is.
I do love, there's a photo of Ryan, I can't remember who shared it, I feel bad now, but he's sat next to a TV pausing Speed. And it always makes me laugh because he's pointing out stuff, but it perfectly mirrors Scream,
Randy,
where Randy is giving the rules, and it's just it's a perfect Ryan photo in my opinion.
Brilliant.
Ryan is channeling Randy but for speed.
Yeah.
But should we talk about the rest of the podcast?
Yes.
What's new? What's changed? Obviously, the look of this has changed.
Yeah, we look professional and stuff now. Look, I've got glasses on and yeah. Fuck.
Yeah, so staying the obvious, we have a brand new logo and icon.
Yep.
Courtesy of Megan Davis. Massive shout out for sorting these lovely, I was going to say stunning, but these lovely logos.
Stunning's a word. I'd describe it as stunning. They are bloody stunning.
Stunning.
We're very happy with them. They look sick.
Yeah, we're very happy with them. And as you can see, they are on T-shirts and hoodies, which we'll get to shortly. I think it's best that we give an explanation as to why we didn't do interview episodes for such a long time, because to our knowledge, the last interview episode we did was back in December.
Yeah.
Sorry, I could just hear Ted snoring away between us.
Doggo dream.
That's the most dog snore you'll get.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah.
So he gets like really aggressive.
Last one was December for an interview, and then I think February for a horror when a podcast calls.
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a big old hiatus.
There's been a gap.
I think it's worth explaining that we just did have a burnout. I think that's the bluntest way to put it, is where we got to a point where we were like,
we're used to these now. This is burnouts happen.
I think we all just had a lot of things going on in our lives.
Yeah. February, my nan passed away, so I took a step back from podcasting for a bit, because I was still pushing the horror stuff, thinking, while you burn out on interviews, I can at least push the horror stuff, so there's still something coming out. But that's why that stopped as well. I acknowledge it in the next When a Podcast Calls, which isn't out yet, but I'm sure it will be at some point. But yeah,
we're back with a vengeance anyway, put it that way.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I moved house.
Full force.
Full
force.
Yeah.
Life's just happening at the moment.
Yeah,
Life's so
life
much going down.
As it does.
But yeah, we're back.
You sounded... we're back.
Yeah, we're back.
I was enthusiastic, wasn't it?
Better than
back. And yeah, we've got so much in the actual pipeline to do with episodes, content, that we're actually so excited to get all this new stuff out.
Yes.
We're sat on a lot. We are sat on a lot.
So we should say we also have a Patreon.
Yeah, we do.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah. I don't need to describe what Patreon is to people, but obviously you can pay a certain amount. Lowest is £1. I think the highest is £5. We're not greedy, but what this gets you is the merch early. You get discount codes for merch. You get the episodes first. There's
access
all sorts
to bonus
of benefits.
Content.
Yeah.
Any extra content that we might post on the Patreon that you might not necessarily see anywhere else at the moment in time.
Yeah,
and
like you can watch.
There's some bits that we've filmed.
Yeah, you can watch Lon and
Matty
sweating from hot sauce and stuff.
Yep.
That's a full song,
it was yeah. That was fun. Put it that way.
Yeah, and we'll do like fun shit in between as well. That you can definitely check out on Patreon. I hope that sold it enough. But
when you said fun shit, then Smith's cogs were turning in his head. You could tell he was thinking about ideas like, what fun shit can we do?
Oh, I'm thinking of fun shit.
I was already telling Smith on the drive here, like, I want to tase each other, with quiz questions or something. So maybe that. But other than that,
you just want to take out your pain on us.
I do, yeah.
You just want to inflict pain, man.
I'll get tased as well.
Just you with the master button.
But then also we've got merch. This isn't all the merch, as you can see. We've got a range that will be linked down below. anearfulpodmerch.com. There you go.
There we go.
I remember the domain.
What's that one more time?
www.anearfulpodmerch.com.
But again, that will be linked below. So don't worry if you didn't get it from that.
Yeah, it's down below. But yeah, I'm thrilled with them.
Yeah.
Do you talking hoodies, long sleeves, short sleeves, in a range of colours as well?
And more importantly,
a mug.
Mugs.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The mug was just for Lon.
Yeah.
No one else has to buy it. It's just for Lon. Yeah. And if you want discounts on those, join our Patreon.
I think that covers everything, really, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah. There's nothing else I can think of.
So after this, you should be seeing podcasts.
Woo! You'll be seeing our ugly mugs.
We've got an announcement episode coming tomorrow, which is short and sweet, but we're super excited to announce some news that we've been sat on. Or was that? No, sorry, it's the other way around. It's coming out yesterday. Yeah. So we've just announced something.
We're so organised.
It's the same shit again.
Backwards, forwards, somewhere in between. We'll be releasing something. When? We don't know.
You'll get it when you get it.
Yeah.
You're getting it. Don't know when.
Yeah.
But if you haven't already seen, we've also released our first interview episode since December, and it is with Billy and Jocko of Puppy. We discussed the brand new album that they've just released,
which is banging.
So good.
What an album.
So if you haven't already checked that out, make sure to check it out. But other than that...
There it is.
Otherwise than that...
we'll see you in the next one.
Lon has a thing for always saying in podcasts, other than that, or otherwise than that. I say otherwise than that.
Have I never gotten on?
He says that more than he says
finish something off. I'm just like...
If anything, that should be like one of the merch things on the store. A t-shirt that has this, and on the back it says otherwise than that.
Yeah.
That's an idea.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Other than that.
That could be your personalised one.
That's the next merch, yeah.
Is there another way of finishing like something like this?
Other than that...
No, see, exactly.
And that's all, folks. That's all, folks. And that's about as good as it goes.
That's it. Thanks. Enjoy the podcasts.
See you in a bit.